Hello, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz, where we are promoting jazz through telling the stories. Today, our special guest artist is piano keyboardist, producer, arranger, band leader, and Howard University graduate, aka Mr. Goldfinger, the wonderful Mr. Ray Angry. We ask you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon so we can let you know when we are posting another video or going live. We also ask you to donate to our Cash App in order to support the channel and help us to produce future videos. Our Cash App is $Jazzology101. That's $Jazzology101. Enjoy the video. Hi, this is saxophonist Antonio Parker, and this is a conversation in jazz. Today we have a very special guest. He is one of the most versatile piano keyboardists on the music scene today. He is also a composer, producer, arranger, music director, and band leader. He's also a Howard University graduate, HU. He is known as Mr. Goldfinger. Please welcome my good friend and Howard University brother, Mr. Ray Angry. Brother Ray, how you doing, man?
And frat brother.
And frat brother. Oh, Phi
Mu Alpha.
Phi Mu Alpha. There we go.
Yeah.
I'm going to forget that.
Yeah, you my line brother. You
Yes,
can't
sir.
never
Yes,
forget
sir.
that. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
man, I'm so honored to have you on our show, man.
And it's a pleasure to be here, man. I've known you for years, so
Yeah.
you know, you knew me way back when.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about some of that, but we're gonna talk about some of that.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go. I want to know some things about you I don't know.
Okay.
You know, but before I do, man, I just want to tell you, man, I'm very proud and honored to to know you for all these years and see what you're doing.
Well, it means a lot, man.
Yeah,
It means
so,
a lot. I appreciate
man,
that.
and we're gonna talk about some of the great things you're doing. What has this musical journey been like for you?
Ooh. It's been joyful.
Okay.
It's been hard. It's been transformative. It's been all the things. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But the through line is that whether good or bad, you have to keep moving.
Yes.
And so I think that's what it's been for me. It's been a journey of forward motion, failing forward.
Cool. Yes, sir.
You know, that's what it's been to me. But it's been great, you know. And I was at Obama's party last weekend, and it just kind of hit me. I'm there at this party with Jay-Z, Beyonce. I'm doing shots with Spike Lee and a bunch of other successful black men. And at this point, I realized, wow, this is what I was praying for when I was at the dormitory
Yes, sir.
at Howard.
Yeah.
You know, praying to God, I want to be, you know, I want to be
earned
around the
every bit of
world. You know what I mean? And I'm sitting here at this party, and you know, with performing with Erykah Badu and her, and I'm friends with Common, and you know, and it's been a blessing, but it's definitely a lesson in forward motion and failing forward. So that's the thing that I'm embracing is, you know, embracing the good with the bad, because it's a journey, as you know.
And it's funny, man, because I remember you and how you sound when you first came to Howard. But I also watched you practice your behind up. And I saw, I mean,
I'm still practicing.
Yeah. And I saw how deep you wanted it.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that back then. So it's good to see, you know, all that hard work pay off.
Yeah.
My follow-up question is, who is Raymond Angry?
Raymond Angry is a composer, music producer, philanthropist, lover of people, and visionary.
Okay.
I have a vision for the future, and I have a vision for artists, and I have a vision for what I think the music industry should be. And I have a vision for connecting young artists with established artists because there's no mentor. Remember when we were coming up, there was like a lot of mentors. You would you would have mentors and they would just show you the game and show you how to, So, but I'm a student of life, and that's who I am, and I'm constantly growing, constantly learning, and I'm a man with an open mind. That's who I am.
Yeah. One thing I like about you, man, is that no matter how far you've gone, you've always, when you come in town, you hit me up, down to earth. Some cats when they achieve the type of success that you get, man, they got the nose in the air. You know what I'm saying? But you've always been a real grounded kind of cat, man. I really appreciate that, man. You get me in a couple concerts.
Yeah, but the reason for that is the people that I admire, the ones that made it, that I've met, have all been cool. Mulgrew Miller being one of them.
Yeah.
Mulgrew Miller, I'm just, a kid, showing up to his show. Hey, man, I want to play music, man. I want to study, I want to study with you. And he took me under his wing, and he was so nice. And he was linking me up with Kenny Garrett and different people and Vanessa Rubin. And he was like, hey, man, So, and then even like Wynton, Wynton has always been amazing. And, and Queen Latifah, like she's like, so I meet people that are superstars and they're just regular people. And at the end of the day, like when I was at Howard, I used to idolize my heroes. And I learned that that's not the way to go about it, you know what I mean? Because they're just human, they're humans. Everybody has the same struggle. Even being at this Obama party, hearing him talk about him being a 60-year-old man and feeling like he hasn't done enough.
Wow.
That's very humbling.
Yeah.
But he's still cool.
Wow. Yeah,
You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And being a great musician doesn't mean you don't have to be a great human being, because you can be a great musician and, like you said, be an asshole and turn your nose up at people and, like so many people we know.
Yeah, I'm sure you've run into people like that. We don't have to name them
because they kind of make themselves known, But there are definitely a lot of dickheads in the music industry or in the world, period.
Yeah.
But I think there's enough of those. We need more people that's like, let's embrace our differences. So I try to help out people, as much as possible, because someone helped me out.
Yep.
And I want to pave the way,
No doubt. So where you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Albany, Georgia.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm from Albany, Georgia.
So you were born in Georgia?
Yeah.
So how'd you get to Miami?
So my father met my mother in Miami. He was in Miami on he was down there right out of the military, went down to Miami, was working. He was a shoe salesman, and he met my mom. You know how it is. You see some curves you like. He met my mom, and my mom dissed him, and then they stayed in touch, and then they ended up getting married, and then they moved. We were living in Georgia until I was like 3 years old, which is crazy because I actually remember when my parents lived in Albany, Georgia. It's crazy. I remember my father bought a trailer home. This is when trailer homes were popular. Yeah. I remember walking outside of the trailer home as a 2-year-old kid.
Wow.
That's crazy. That's very weird for me. I still remember it. And my family then moved to Miami, so I have so many family members in the Bahamas and in Miami, Florida. So that's how I got down there. Wow. And so then I was just raised in Miami.
Yeah. What was it like coming up in Miami when you were coming up?
I was the oddball. I was a kid in the neighborhood that was first off, I loved art more than music. All my friends were artists, and I really wanted to be an artist.
Visual artist?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I love drawing. And then my dad helped me to transition from that to music because he didn't like that. He was like, "You're not gonna make no money as an artist," So he forced me to do music.
Wow.
and it turned out to be the vibe, and anyway, so yeah, so that's how my
What
that's
was
how
it? I mean, y'all had palm trees and all that. Was it fun coming up? I mean,
yeah, it was fun, but I grew up in a very religious household.
okay,
So for me, growing up in Miami, I was always in church.
okay,
I was at the kind of church, it was called Church of God of Prophecy. It was a very strict holiness church. Women couldn't wear pants, they couldn't wear earrings, and they couldn't preach.
wow,
You know what I'm saying? And so that's how I grew up. And when I was learning music, that was my Coltrane, growing up in church and hearing people shouting and organists carrying the service. So that's the thing that I gravitated towards. But once I started learning music and I started learning how to read and I started playing classical music, so then I became the oddball in the neighborhood. I was like the only black kid playing classical music.
wow,
I was in church, everyone's playing by ear, and I'm going to high school playing Bach, you know what I mean? And then I'm like, but I'm trying to like
yeah,
be a part of the black community, but then I just never fit in because I was,
wow.
always
I was the
studying
eyeball
classical
too.
music.
Yeah, I was a little
Yeah.
different. Yeah,
And I was always studying classical music and always trying to learn how to be black or be cool. You know what I'm saying? Learning all the church chords and
yeah.
whatnot. And then what I realized later on is that that was such a great thing because it helped me to learn to improvise.
Wow.
And I think that's the cool thing about being in church is you learn a level of improvisation where you have to be in the moment and you have to be present.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because otherwise the mother on the first row is gonna say, "Baby, get off the organ. You're not playing right." or why y'all playing so loud? Turn the music down. While church is happening.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
You know what I mean?
And you know what's funny? Like that's how jazz used to be. If you wasn't cutting it,
Yeah.
they let you
Yeah,
know.
the elders.
Yeah, they let you know.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, they still do that. So anyway, that's what it was like for me growing up. And then in high school, then I got familiar with jazz, and I remember McCoy Tyner came to my college and did a master class.
To your college? You mean
My high school, my
Okay,
high school.
okay.
But my high school was also, I was getting college credit. I went to
Oh, wow.
New World School of the Arts. So I was, not only was I in high school, but I was also getting college credits because our high school was at Miami-Dade Community College.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
So so that's how I was able to go to Howard and pass out of harmony and theory.
Oh, wow.
And so,
Yeah.
so anyway, yes.
So did you come? Do you come from a musical family?
Yeah, my all my aunts sang, my father sang, everybody sang in church.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I had some cousins that played keyboards.
Yeah. One thing I noticed about you, man, beyond. I mean, you know people like musicians who practice, and if you practice, you get better, right? But some people have a certain thing. Like you've always had a feel. You've always had a good sense of time and good ears. You know what I'm saying? And I like to attribute that to some things get passed down, like some musical things.
No.
You think you work for it? You don't think you had any natural gifts, like musically?
It didn't feel natural when I was learning it. When I was learning how to play music. I think it's just a matter of being self-aware.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And in terms of time, like when I practice with a metronome now, it's different because now I'm self-aware of my own time in relationship to the metronome.
Wow.
As opposed to, because I think a lot of times people aren't self-aware. They're not paying attention to the metronome. They're listening, but not really listening. And they think they're on time, but they're not. You know what I mean? So I think for me, I've always tried to be present and I've always tried to be self-aware in terms of like what I'm doing. Because sometimes you might think you're hitting something, but you're really not hitting it. So I think over the years, I've developed, this sense of really trying to
Rhythmic
listen.
intuition?
Huh?
Is it rhythmic intuition?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's because I play basketball. You know what I mean? Because but I just equate it to being self-aware and just being present and really listening. Because I think listening is extremely important. Because I could be practicing right now,
Wow.
just in my head.
Yeah.
Because I'm listening. You know what I mean? So I think that,
So do
being
you have the
self-aware.
same passion for music and for growth and development as you did when you were starting out?
Absolutely. 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 So I'll put it to you this way. When COVID happened, it kicked my ass because the comfortable life that I had with the gigs, all of that stopped. And so then I was forced to create a new path for myself. And so then I was like, man, I just need to get back into playing classical music. So I started studying with a teacher online.
Wow.
And I started practicing 8 hours a day again, during the pandemic. And so now I'm developing my love for classical music again. And so I'm practicing all the time because I want to record a solo piano record of all classical music, my favorite classical pieces. So my passion for that, and even composition, and I'm writing a symphonic work right now, and I'm just trying to learn and develop. You know what I mean?
So is your passion intrinsic, or is it something that was as a result of the things embedded in you, the values in terms of your parents and your coming up?
I think yes. I think yes to both answers. I mean, definitely my parents had a big influence on me, especially my father, because he embedded in me the idea that when you do something, do it like it's your last time. And when before he passed away, he just left me with when you perform, play like it's your last time you're about to play. And so I try to give my all to everything that I'm working on, whether even if it's an unknown artist that I don't know about, I try to create something new that's going to make their life better. Or if I'm doing something with Producer Mondays and I'm working with different singers and different musicians, and I just try to give back. So for me, it's just important to always grow and learn from people that you work with.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know what I mean?
Now you told me you have 3 brothers. You the oldest.
Yeah,
We got something in common. What is it like being the oldest?
it's hard. There's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah. But
No, but I love my brothers, man. And
are
it's
they
great to
are they
see them.
musically inclined?
They're creative.
Okay.
They're creative.
But you were the only one coming up who's focused primarily on music.
My youngest brother, he has some talent in music. I mean, he writes and he writes rap and
Gotcha. Yeah.
he does that kind of thing. And my brother Travis, he played trombone growing up. So, but he doesn't do music now. And my other brother, he's a comedian. So he's pretty funny. But I think my family is creative.
Gotcha. So was piano your first instrument?
No.
Wow.
You know what my first instrument was?
What?
The French horn.
The French horn?
Yes, sir. I played French horn, and then I also played baritone tuba.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Get out of here,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. That was my first instrument before I played.
So how'd you connect? How'd you get to the piano? How'd you gravitate to the piano?
So as a kid, I was taking piano lessons with the local choir director
Okay.
at my church. She was a part of the church family. Her name was Sharon Barris. God bless her. She was really awesome. And so she was my first piano teacher. And there was a program at my school that I was about to attend called Northern Middle School.
Okay.
That's the school. And so before I got there, they had an audition for the art program and the music department. This was all new, you know. And so I was already attending the school, and then I auditioned for the art department and also music. So I got into both. And so, but I had to choose one, so I chose music.
Okay.
And so music became a part of my growth there in New Orleans. And so, so I was taking piano lessons, but then I was also in the band.
Okay.
So
Playing
playing the tuba.
And okay.
And I was also, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was also doing a lot of musical theater when I was in middle school. I was a part of
You were acting?
I was acting a little bit, but I did what's it musical Showboat. I was in that, and my father was also in it as well. So because one of my piano teacher when I was in New Orleans was an accompanist for Broadway here in New York. So he moved to Miami, and he took me under his wings, and that's when I really learned music theory and learned about sight reading and learned about harmony. And so he was a really great teacher, Robert Davis. God bless him, he passed away. And so that's when I really got into music and I had a very strict piano teacher when I was in middle school. Wow. She was very.
So were you playing piano and the French
yes
simultaneously?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I was playing the piano, but I was such a beginner, when it came to the piano in middle school, and so that was a great experience.
So what initially drew you to the piano? I mean, was it?
It was. I was at church one day, and when church was over, a lot of kids would run over to the piano, and so I would be there too, and they would be playing melodies, and so it'd be like 4 kids on the piano messing around, and I would see them play, and then I would start mimicking what they were doing, and my father saw me, and he was freaking out. He was like, "What?"
Wow.
And so that went on, and then after church service, I would always go to the piano and mess around, or during this time after church, there would always be a dinner downstairs.
Okay.
And so while the people were having dinner, I would be upstairs, like messing around on the piano, and so it became a thing that I often did. And so my father, just started me with piano lessons with my the choir director.
Wow.
For the
at
children's choir.
some point, did you put the tuba and the French horn stuff? Did you put that?
Yeah, I mean that was like for a semester or two.
Okay.
When I was growing up, and then the piano just became like
Did you was it initial passion or love for piano, or was it just a curiosity?
It was both. It was curiosity that turned into a passion because I really wanted to play, because I was around kids who were really fantastic. So it became a thing like, I want to learn what are those chords? Show me those chords. Like, so it became like a thing. Like it was so crazy because I would play at my parents' church, and then, which was a certain type of gospel music, and then I would go to another church, and I would just go to churches and sit in, and I would watch the organist.
Wow.
And I would try to learn what they were doing, and I would go up to the organ and watch them, and
And you've always had that inquisitive thing.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm talking about. There's a part of your development that was formal. You were studying.
Yeah.
The dots.
Yep.
And then there's a part of observing.
Yes.
And learning and self-taught. I guess self-teaching yourself through observation. And
Yes. So that's a very good point. So when I first started taking piano lessons, I took piano lessons for a year, and then I started teaching myself. And then I auditioned to be in Northern Middle School for their arts program, and I got in.
Wow.
And then there was another audition for high school for New World School of the Arts, and I auditioned, and I got in there as well. So it's just been. And then once I got to New Orleans, I was teaching myself, but then I had teachers once I was in school. So because I started when I was 7, so by the time I was like 10 or 11, I was in middle school, and I was just I was good to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, that's beautiful, man. So in school, let's talk about church. Did you get to a point where you were able to play in church?
Yeah.
So you were like the.
Oh no.
Were you playing for the Lord, or were you playing for the chicken, or were you getting paid?
No, I have a great story. So There's a woman who, God forgive me, I cannot remember her name. Oh, this is so terrible. It's been so many years.
Yeah.
I'll remember her name before this is over. She took me under her wing. She spoke to my parents. She's like, I see your son. And this is the beauty about church. You have angels. And she took me under her wing. She would pick me up from home,
Wow.
take me to church, and she paid me $50 to play at her church.
Wow.
And the church was around the corner, 19th Street Avenue, Church of God of Prophecy. I'll never forget it. Pastor Wilson, I couldn't play a lick, but they were so passionate about helping me, and I just learned so much from them. And so that's how I really learned how to play. I couldn't play, and I couldn't play by ear. So I was teaching myself how to play by ear, but I was also learning. It was like on-the-job training. So this happened from the time I was like from about maybe 8 or 9 until I was 13. Because once I was 13, I was in high school. Then I was playing at my parents' church, and then I was playing at different churches, and I was getting paid. I was making money playing in churches when I was 15 years old.
Yeah, I'm saying back then, $50.
Yeah, and I would give the money to my parents, You
You get away.
Yeah. I was making $50, then I went to 150, then I went to 200.
So you always had money, man.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in college, I was playing in church.
Yeah. We gonna get to that.
Yeah.
But man, that's a beautiful thing, man. And I think that concept of on-the-job training served you well over time, especially when you start being in situations that were new.
Yeah.
And you had to, and so
you gotta fall in.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Feel forward.
Yeah. There you go. So man, that's beautiful, man. Let me ask you, do you have perfect pitch?
I don't have perfect pitch. I have relative pitch. Sometimes it's imperfect.
Now, when you say relative, you relate it to like can you hear sounds in your head and you know that with that notice?
Sometimes I hear songs and I'll know the feeling. Oh, this feels like F, and I'll be like a half step off.
Okay,
might be F sharp. You know what I mean? But sometimes I can remember sounds, but also again, I'm learning that's a memory, that's a muscle that can be strengthened. You know what I'm saying? So I just, I've been strengthening it over the past couple of years, but now I'm becoming aware of it.
So do you think music came easy? I know you worked hard, but generally, did music come easy for you?
I don't think music came easy for me because then if it did, I feel like I'd be a lot further along in my career early on, But I think, and also I think a lot of it has to do with fear.
Fear?
Fear, absolutely.
Because
when I would practice, I would get scared. I would get this feeling like, oh shit, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna be a bad motherfucker. and that scared me.
Wow, it scared you.
Yeah. The idea that, if I keep doing this, I'm gonna be. I remember one time I was in Blackburn. Is it Blackburn?
Blackburn Center?
Yeah. At Howard. And I was practicing in the dark, and this was right before my recital. And there was a guy who came into the room where I was practicing, and he was a CEO of Black Enterprise. Remember that magazine, Black Enterprise?
Are you talking about Earl Graves?
Yes.
He came in?
He came into the room where I was practicing in the dark, and I'll never forget this. He gave me, he was like, oh man, brother, you keep doing that, you're gonna be a problem. And he said this to me, and I'll never forget it. And then I did my senior recital. But yeah, that was a crazy feeling that I had. Obviously I got over it. Yeah. But yeah,
Did you know who he was at the time?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, but thinking of it now, I'm like, oh man, that's that's an incredible connection.
Wow. Well, one thing I read a few things. He like to see excellence in action.
Yeah.
So that probably caught his attention.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
practice and hard work. He's about that, you know. And so, wow, man. Now, when did you first become exposed to jazz?
I first came exposed to jazz in high school, and the record was Trio GP by Branford Marsalis.
Wow, yeah.
Remember that record? That's how I got exposed to jazz.
And-
JB, and I also my teacher in high school, JB Dias. That's how really I got exposed to jazz, was JB Dias. Also, I had a friend named Dave Siegel, he was a child prodigy when I was in middle school. I actually learned how to curse from him. Taught me how to curse. It's so funny. But he was an amazing piano player who was transcribing solos when we were in middle school.
Wow.
So that's how I got exposed to jazz. But it was like, it's really white kids that I saw playing jazz. And so I didn't, I grew up in a church, so I wasn't exposed to like Train and Miles Davis because my parents were like James Cleveland, the Walter Hawkins, Daryl Coley, that was my jazz. You know what I mean? That's the jazz I grew up with. The blues.
Yeah.
But when I really got exposed to jazz was quite honestly at Howard.
Come on now.
That's when I really got exposed to jazz. Seeing Chris Dave, seeing you, seeing Kevin Levi. You already know. Kevin Levi, meeting Mr. Irby, Fred Irby, Dr. Dawkins. That's when I really got exposed to jazz because I saw the black side of jazz. I saw the roots of it, the essence of it. Where when I was in high school, it was more or less like a collegiate, sort of by the book version of jazz, 2-5-1, you know what I mean, kind of vibe. I didn't get the grits and the gravy of it, but once I got to Howard and I started going to Blues Alley, meeting Wynton Marsalis, that's really how I got exposed to jazz. Going to Blue Note, walking from my dormitory with no money with Chris Dave to the Blue Note. Blues Alley. Blues Alley, and being like, yo, man, we don't have no money. Can we get in?
And we would sit on the step.
We sit. They let us sit on the steps. And then Wynton was, they have a break to play a blues. All right, come on, young blood. You play. I play one note.
Good old days.
Yeah, man. Good old days. That's when I really got exposed to jazz.
But let's go back. When you first heard jazz, did it impact you, or it was just okay?
Man, quite honestly, when I first heard jazz, I was like, it was almost like if somebody saw an alien for the first time.
That's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck is this? The Trio GP record, I didn't understand it. I was like, man, this is amazing. I want to know what this is.
Wow.
What, like, how are you doing that? Like what? Like how? So it was it's
At what point did you know that music, that you wanted to pursue the path of music as your life's calling?
Like I said, I think when I was 15, it's around the time when Reggie Jackson was running for president.
Wow.
And I got called to perform at his, meeting when he was in Miami.
Wow.
And he was, doing like a rally, and I played piano for the rally. And that coupled with playing in church and seeing the impact of music on people and the feeling you get when you play in church and people are moved by it.
Yeah.
I was just drawn to that feeling of making people have goosebumps.
Yeah.
You know.
I find that, man, I was talking to Warren Shad. I said, man, a lot of people looking for a platform to get attention. People like, I say, if you put attention here and $1 million over here, people gonna choose attention. But
Shit.
but I'm saying that
Yeah.
to say that as musicians, we on stage, so we get to express whatever it is. We get an opportunity to express, whatever we're dealing with, and to, like you say, impact the audience and see how you can actually impact somebody, right? A lot of people don't get that, and so, and everybody find a little way of trying to get their platform, because it's human nature to want to get attention or to be recognized and appreciated, that sort of thing. So that's definitely one of the things that I liked about music. You get people clapping for you, and so I definitely understand how that.
I like attention, but I love the bag.
So you like attention, but you love the bag.
I mean, here's
We're
the
gonna
thing.
talk about
Here's the thing. But I think it's very important to have balance,
No doubt.
because the thing that I love about Kanye West is that he's going against the grain in such an impactful way.
Yeah.
Whether it's deliberate or not, it's working. And I think musicians should see themselves as a business.
No doubt.
It's great to chase the feeling, but it's also great to be sustainable.
Yeah. And that usually comes later when you're making a living out of it. But when you're starting out,
It
we
should
did it.
start there.
Yeah, we would play for free.
I think it should start from the beginning.
You should. Yeah.
Fuck that.
You want to get paid for the giddy?
No, not paid, but I think from the beginning, people should understand the business side as they're learning to develop their craft. Because the problem is there's no balance. Because once you develop your craft, you're going to have attention so that you can exploit that craft. You know what I'm saying?
So you don't think that, what about the idea, and I definitely understand it, the idea of service. Like
it is you are of service.
Yeah, yeah.
It is definitely a service, but it's also a business, because you have a product that you're serving to the people.
Gotcha.
So the product is the business, is the music. So it could be your new album that you wrote, that's where you're talking about you growing up, you're talking about your family. It might be soulful, but you want to be able to package that so that you can share it with your family, and they want to be able to share it with their friends. So I feel like there should be a balance between learning the business as you come along, as opposed to being like learning the craft and then being thrown into the business and learning the hard way.
Gotcha. So you think young people we should teach them that from
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That might be your
That's
problem.
the problem with the music industry right now. The young people don't know the business, and then they become millionaires. Like that. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to buy a chain. I'm going to buy, you know what I mean? We're going to 300,000 in the club. You on Instagram, like, boom, da-da-da-da-da. And then a year later, your dumb ass ain't got no money.
Yeah.
But that's a teachable moment. But everyone learns the hard way. I just think, we gotta teach each other the business.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That might be your calling, man.
I want to shake up the music industry.
Come on,
You're
now.
fucking right. Yeah, I'm about to, definitely.
All right, so we talked about what made you choose to go to Howard University.
Ed Love.
Ed Love.
Ed Love.
Who's Ed?
Ed Love was an art teacher at Howard University. He is an incredible human being.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah.
He taught at Howard University, and so he taught there. And I remember when I was about to graduate, and I was thinking about colleges. I had a scholarship to Florida University, FAMU, and also to Jackson State. And for some reason, I don't know why, he told me about Howard. And I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. Washington, D.C. I didn't know anything about Howard or Washington, D.C. I had a feeling oh, I need to go to Howard.
Wow.
I had a feeling,
Wow.
and that's how I got to Howard. Ed Love.
Did you audition for Irby or did you?
Dr. Dawkins.
Dr. Dawkins.
Dr. Dawkins was friends with Ed Love.
Oh, wow.
And so I auditioned, got in, and, got some scholarship money. But then once I got there, then, you know how it is. You figuring out, figuring out how to pay for it.
Yeah.
And so, so it was, that's how I got to Howard.
So what was your major at Howard?
So my major was classical piano when I got to Howard. But once I got it, once I saw kids black kids playing jazz, I was like, I want to do that. So I wanted to have a double major in classical and jazz piano. But at Howard University, they were like, you can't do that. You have to pick one or the other. And I was like, well, why? Why can't I do both? Like, no, you can't do both. It's impossible. And I remember Irby saying, you can't do both. You'd be terrible at both. I was like, oh, okay. And so what I ended up doing, the first year, I was a classical major. And then my second year, what I did was I became a jazz major. And then I also studied classical music. So I had a double major in jazz and classical piano as a jazz major.
Okay.
So then when I went that route, then they let me do both, which is so fucking stupid. Which is another problem with the educational system.
Well, you got in and got your weight.
But which it's another problem with the educational system. You have kids who have desires and people say no. Yeah. And a lot of dream killers. When we talk about the world of education, that's a whole other story. Anyway, but
So you studied with Dr. Raymond Jackson?
Dr. Jackson.
How impactful was?
Oh my God, he's like a second father to me.
Wow.
Yeah, I still talk to him to this day.
Yeah.
He's the best person for me to have met. I wish I met him when I was 7, when I was first starting.
He had you practicing, man, on these finger exercises when you were just going slow and you would move. I used to see you.
Yeah. And I still do that. And it's interesting because now I'm learning how to practice now, and it's But anyway, Dr. Jackson was amazing. Jerry Allen.
You all studied with Jerry
Allen. Jerry Allen, she's amazing. And Charles Covington,
You studied with Charles too? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, Charles Covington. Professor, did I study with Professor Flagg? I don't think so. He was my advisor when I first came to Howard.
So overall, how's that coming to Howard? What was that experience like for you?
Listen, Howard University was the best experience of my life.
Wow.
You know why? Because I met cats like you. I met Chris Dave. I met the Winans. I met this group SHAI. I met Wynton Marsalis. I met Branford. I met Christian McBride. I met Roy Hargrove, Tim Warfield. You know what I mean? And I ended up touring with Roy with his first band. Wow. First funk band.
The RH Factor.
RH Factor.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I was touring with those guys. Wow. And but all of that through Howard.
Plus,
Howard's a great connector.
It was a nice time, and I know I was crazy.
Mm-hmm. We were all crazy when we were young.
But we used to play in front of the Fine Arts Building. Man.
Oh my God, wasn't that a vibe?
Oh my God,
wasn't that a vibe? We didn't care.
Yeah, and one thing I tell people, man, we stayed in the practice room.
We did stay in the practice room.
We stayed in the practice.
We stayed in. Yeah.
And,
yeah.
And then we did the girls and all that, but
yeah.
But we stayed in the practice room, man, and it was just a.
I mean, I remember. This is how deep it is for me. I remember being in the practice room, and Michael Bearden walking by and knocking on the door, being like, "Oh, okay, okay, young blood."
Yeah, wow, that's cool, man.
I met him when I was in the practice room at Howard University.
Wow.
And Michael, and then Mark Batson.
Who's doing great things.
Cool, man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember when Chris Dave and Gordon Campbell would link up their drum.
When they
would link up and they would go.
Yeah.
Man, it was.
Everybody was sharing ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So that was a beautiful thing.
That was a beautiful time.
Kevin Levi.
Yeah.
You know. So you at Howard, you connected with the group, R&B group SHAI. Mm-hmm. So you got to tour. Was that your first major tour with a national act?
Yo, that was my first major tour ever. That was my first time playing before thousands and thousands of people. I remember we were doing the Budweiser Superfest, and this is when this promoter Al Heyman was like, he was the king of
the basketball promoter. I mean, the boxing promoter. Al Heyman?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
He was doing working with artists like Mary J. Blige, SWV, Bad Boy, all the major R&B acts. You know, he was doing all of those acts, and so I was on tour with SHAI, and you know, I remember being in Japan for the first time, learning how to use chopsticks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Man,
girls being like, oh my God, you're amazing.
what was that like for you, man?
It's amazing. Being 19 years old, I'll tell you this, I had stage fright. I remember when I first did our first show, I could not look in the audience.
Wow. Yeah.
Because it was overwhelming. It was so many people. The stadium was sold out. And I remember I could not look at the audience. And it was the craziest thing, you know, playing, you know, having your monitor.
Kevin Levi was in that.
Yeah.
So.
Kevin Levi, Gordon Campbell.
Yeah.
And it was a great band.
Yeah. And you know, Darnell.
Of course,
and Garfield, they were my roommates.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So I was,
yeah.
But yes,
Yeah.
Man, it was beautiful, man.
Yeah, it was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was an incredible experience. I mean, here's a funny thing. This is how my parents found out I was on tour. I got the gig. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were in bed, and Darnell called me. Hey, man, we about to go on tour, man. You want to go on tour with us? And I was like, all right, man, I think so. Yeah, you know, let me call you back or something like that. And I was in the bed with her, and she was like, don't go on tour, stay with me. Don't go on tour. Don't follow my dreams. Lay in the bed with you. Okay. Called him back. Yo, man, I'm ready. That's how that went.
That's hilarious.
That's how that went. I was like, wait a minute.
Oh, God.
Nah.
So hold on. Is this the Christian?
Yeah, man. It's called outreach. We're expanding.
Oh, you funny, man.
we was expanding. You know, that was a teachable moment. God said,
oh, I hear you, man.
get up, brother. Get on up. Get out. Get up and get out. But it was a turning point for me. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I'm gonna do this. And the crazy thing is, when I was on tour, I was weird. I was like asking tour man. This is this guy named Blue. He ended up working with Outkast, and he was at the time he was a bodyguard. But then, as the years developed, he became a manager. So he's like really big in the music. He probably don't even remember me having this conversation with him. But I'll never forget him. And I was like asking him, man, should I go back to school? That was the conversation I was having when I was on tour. I would be on tour with Silk and Naughty by Nature, and I'm friends with these guys. It's so crazy. And you know, I'm like getting off tour, and I'm like, man, should I go back to school? Should I go back to school? And so we did a tour. So this was 92. No, this was like 93. And before I get to that, how my parents found out about me being on tour is I got the call. I said yes. They flew us to LA. We're staying in the Sherman Oaks Hotel. We get there. There's a limousine. Big, it's like, come on, man. If this were a reality TV show,
That
we'd
was
be
it.
popping.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I'm in the limousine, and there's a phone in the limousine. As we're about to get out, I pick up the phone, and I call my dad from the limousine.
Wow.
And I say, hey, Dad, yeah, I'm in LA, man. Yeah, I'm touring with this band now. I'm not going back to school.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was mad
Wow.
until I gave him my check. That's how I cooled that out.
Yeah.
I was like, I talked to the manager at the time for SHAI, and I said, hey, man, can you send my checks home? So I had per diem, so I was cool.
You was living
I
off
was
the per
per
diem.
diem, and so my parents would get my checks, you know, and so they was cool.
Yeah.
They was cool. They
That's
were
cool.
cool with it
That's
after a
funny.
while.
Yeah.
But then the crazy thing is, you know, because when I dropped out of school, Irby and the doctor, they said, oh, he ain't coming back. And I came back.
Yeah, I remember when you came back, because we were living in the house on Sheridan and Harvard.
Exactly.
I remember.
I came back because I just knew once I got out there and I saw, okay, I got a taste of what it's like to live in LA, and I was like, man, I really love jazz. And during the time, I was, you know, Kenny Kirkland, Wynton Marsalis. I had these guys on my mind when I was on tour because I love jazz, you know? And I was like, do I want to be in LA doing this kind of like, you know, bullshit that's happening out there? You know, and so I said, you know, I'm going back to DC. And so I went back to school, and I just knew I had to, like I said, it's a feeling. I knew I had to go back and get my degree because I wanted to finish what I started. Plus, I wanted to make my parents proud. And so I just decided to leave the road and go back to school because I felt like the road is always going to be there, which it is, you know? And so I followed my gut, and I went back to school, and I got my bachelor's.
And then your master's?
Then I got my master's.
Wow.
And then I followed my gut, and I was scared to move to New York, but I was playing at this church at the time, and I was like torn because I'm playing in church, Parker Memorial Baptist Church. Shout out to my family. I was playing in church, and it was becoming a problem because the music was a little bit. There was a lot of complaints that the music was too loud, and the church is not a concert hall. Those are things that were said to me.
You would put your jazz stuff in your church.
I would do everything. Like my father said, give 150%.
Yeah.
So everything I was doing, I was doing it. And so when I was at this church, you know, it was kind of a battle because I had to like sort of, you know, not fully be able to express myself. I had to sort of rein it in. And so I said, fuck this. I'm not going to be playing this goddamn church for the next 10 years. I saw my life flash before my eyes. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but that's how I feel. And I said, no fucking way am I going to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And at that point, it was a feeling. I was like, I get to get the fuck out of here. And I called my mom and said, I got to go to New York right now. And I had an aunt that lived in New York, and this is August of 2001. I rented a car, packed as much shit as I could. It was an SUV, and I went to New York. My family lived in East Orange, New Jersey. I went there during the week. During the weekend, I would go back to church, back to DC. I would have rehearsal on Saturday, church on Sunday. Sunday afternoon, I was on the road, back in New York. So I did this for a month. September of 2001, I was officially in New York. A week later, during this time, I was also hanging out at Smalls a lot because I wanted to be a part of the scene, the jazz scene, you know? And during this time, this one particular day, I was at Smalls, and Smalls during this time would be open till 7. Cats would play till 7 in the morning. So I was a part of that, and I was there. And this was a Monday night, and 7 o'clock, I went back to East Orange, New Jersey, and something told me, I was like, man, I was at the World Trade Center because that was my stop before I go to Jersey. Mind you, I just got my master's and I just moved to New York and I was playing at this church, which was my bread and butter. And I said, fuck it, and I'm out, and I went to New York on a whim. No job, no nothing. I knew I had to be in New York. And so I go to the World Trade Center, and the World Trade Center at this time had a Barnes & Noble on the side, like right before you go to the courtyard area. So beautiful, it was sunny, beautiful day. I went to the Barnes & Noble because I wanted to like get, books on motivation. You know what I mean? I was like reading books on self-help, like, just trying to get motivated. And there was a Krispy Kreme donut shop right on the corner, and you could see them making Krispy Kreme donuts. So I'm waiting for Barnes & Noble to open. I'm at the Krispy Kreme donut shop, and something told me, this is 7 o'clock, something told me, man, you should just go home. Like, just go home. And so I was like, okay. And I went home, got on the train. As I got off the train, went to my cousin's house. I lay down, because I'd been up all night at Smalls. I lay down. Right when I lay down, my cousin, yo, they blew up the World Trade Center.
Wow.
I just left the World Trade Center.
Get out of here.
Bro, I'm not even supposed to be here right now.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm not even supposed to be here right now. Had I not followed my gut and stayed at the World Trade Center, I wouldn't be here. And so
the Krispy Kreme was in the World Trade?
It was like right before, it was at the bottom of the steps.
Wow.
And because at the World Trade Center, they used to have jazz in the courtyard. They had some live music in the courtyard. Wow. It was so beautiful. Wow. It was a beautiful day, and I'll never forget, man. Something told me, go. I have to say this. I'm not a religious person, by no means. I think religion is full of shit. Here's why I say that. Because it's man-made and it's manufactured, and men fuck shit up. History has proven that. We have the slave trade, where people have been uprooted out of their homes, their culture taken away, their language taken away. All of that is by design.
So you're more of a spiritual person?
I am more of a spiritual person. Okay. I believe in spirituality. So I believe that, I believe this is church. Because where two or three are gathered, that's where I am. That's what, I'm paraphrasing. But I believe God is everywhere. God is in everything. God is in both, he's everywhere. And so I am definitely a spiritual person, so I don't want to come off as atheist or whatever. Yeah. But I definitely believe that things have been designed to make people not believe in themselves and make people believe that, nothing is possible, which is why it's important to have a guy like Martin Luther King who says, hey, listen, I have a dream. Mm-hmm. Or Malcolm X who said, hey, by any means necessary, we're going to get this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So just being forward thinkers, just thinking outside the box, for me, is the way to go. And
most people are looking outside of themselves for answer, but developing that intuitive thing, because there are things that speak to you, and if people trusted that, it will save your life.
And we wouldn't have copycats where people they like someone so much that they're copying what they're doing. Yeah. Everyone isn't going to be reading from the same sheet of music. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So I just believe that we should all embrace our differences, which is funny now. It's politically correct to be inclusive.
Yeah, the herd. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And the beautiful thing about social media and these iPhones, now we're exposing people for who they really are. And sometimes your heroes, you don't like who they are because they're like douchebags. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So I want to, and I think I'm going to do this in one shot, but I want to, before we go on, I want to talk more about New York and the things that you've done while you're in New York. Before I do that, I want to go back. Just talk about what has D.C. been for you.
Ooh.
Talking about the jams, HR 57, Twins,
the
clubs, One Step Down.
Yeah. First of all, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now had it not been for twins. I love Mozzie and Kelly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't even. Peter Edelman.
Peter Edelman, yeah, yeah.
You know, Butch.
Butch Warren.
Butch
yeah.
Warren.
The one step down.
You know, the one step down. You know, and the thing for me, I'm so grateful for my experience at Howard because, you know, I was in the practice room, but I feel like, you know, I was one of the cats that was venturing out.
Yeah.
You know, going to the jam sessions, you know, and meeting Gary Thomas and what's that lawyer guy that played drums?
Oh, Billy Murphy.
Billy Murphy. Yeah. You know, all those people, man, they played a role in your development, you know. And so DC,
Now, when you went to New York, I know you was following your gut, but was there some level of fear?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
When I graduated, when I got my master's, I kept asking people like, man, you know, professors, like, I want to go to New York. What should I do? You know, some people would say, man, you know, just go. And you know, I was scared. And then my mentor, God bless Mulgrew Miller, he said something to me. He said, well, this is how you could look at it. You could be a big fish in a little pond, or you can be a little fish in a big pond.
Wow, that makes sense.
You know? And so I chose to be a little fish in a big pond.
And before we go, I want to talk about you, Keith Kilgo.
Oh, man. Yeah.
How, you know, Keith has been my Art Blakey, I would tell people. And we used to play with Keith's band.
Yeah.
So what has Keith, your experiences with Keith of the Blackbirds?
Donald Byrd.
Donald Byrd, there you go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being with Keith and meeting Donald Byrd. And I remember Donald Byrd told me about this. He told me about this book on harmony that I still read to this day. And I'm meeting him and hearing how Donald Byrd was working with Herbie and hearing about their relationship. You know, love Keith to death, man. I feel like Keith prepared me for New York.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Got to give Keith some love. You know,
absolutely.
He's been our
That's
big
my man.
brother. Yeah. And who would you say is, as a pianist, jazz, classical, who are your biggest influences?
Oh man,
And you know, who?
I
know
mean,
Kenny Kirkland.
I mean Kenny Kirkland,
Herbie.
George Duke, Herbie, Chick Corea, Scott Joplin, Earl Father Hines, Art Tatum, Oscar Peterson, Phineas Newboy Jr., Bud Powell, Thelonious Monk, Kenny Drew Jr. You know, I love Keith Jarrett.
Keith Jarrett. Yeah.
You know, Lyle Mays.
Who's some of the contemporary cats you really dig?
James Francis.
James Francis?
Yeah, he's one of my. He's my nigga. Love him. I like Christian Sands too. I mean, there's so many killing cats. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's so many, and it's hard for me to be like, oh, I like this and that. You know, because there's so many cats, man, that have a beautiful approach to music. You know.
How did you find when you got to New York with all these bad cats? How did you find your niche? How did you find, okay, all right, you got all these bad cats, and that can play piano, they can do this, they can that, but how did you establish Ray Angry?
I think I'm still trying to establish who Ray Angry is, but I think my curious self allows me the humility that it takes to continue to practice and to be open-minded and not be sort of like, oh, I arrived, I played with this person, you know what I mean? I don't practice more. You know, it's like, I don't want to be that guy. And also, one of my favorite pianists is Martha Argerich.
Okay.
Martha Argerich is 80 years old, and she will play any piano player I just named under the table. She's amazing. She's 80 years old.
Wow.
80 years old.
What does she play? Classical?
Piano. Classical piano. She's a fierce pianist.
Wow.
She's 80. And that was what I love about classical music is there isn't this sense of like when you get past a certain age, it's you're
arrived.
washed up.
Yeah, you arrived and all that. Yeah.
It's the opposite, because truly to be an artist, it's a lifelong journey.
No doubt.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt.
There is no end game. The game keeps going,
No doubt.
and then someone else takes the mantle. But the beauty about learning and growing is that you can learn from anyone.
No doubt.
You know, and so that's kind of. I hope I'm answering your question.
No.
Yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Now I noticed that like.
I don't mean Martha is better than. Wait a minute.
You can't fix it now.
Wait a minute.
But I noticed that. Now, and let me ask you this. I don't want to assume. When did you decide at some point? Okay, because I know. Okay, you went to New York. Said I want to play jazz. Mm-hmm. Okay, did you? And you know, jazz. When you trying to get the bag, mm-hmm. Jazz can be a rough road, right?
Yeah.
So did you at some point say, okay, let me focus on this that can give me more of the bag, more exposure, and such. But I'm gonna stay with my jazz. And then I'm gonna combine it and have a,
So I had a love-hate relationship with jazz. Love-hate relationship. And the weird thing is, when you're in New York and you're trying to make a living, when I was at Howard, I just saw that if I did one thing, I'm limiting my impact.
No doubt.
And being around so many jazz policemen and women, and being around people who are so rooted purists, they're so rooted in the tradition that they're doing the music a disservice. Because when you keep your feet planted in one position, because this is the way that it's done, then when the grass is growing and you need to move, you kind of stuck.
Wow.
Because it might be some cement, the dirt might get hard, you might get, you might get stuck. And so even when I was playing classical music, because a lot of times when you think about it, how many kids ever make it to Juilliard? Or how many kids who study classical music never make it to Carnegie Hall to perform there? So it's sort of like, then you become a teacher because you're not going to really make it. So I think, to answer your question, I feel like I always wanted to be. I found joy in being diverse, because when one thing is happening and then it ends, then you could do something else.
No doubt.
When that ends, then you can do something else. Then it makes music to me more interesting because you're not doing the same thing over and over. You're expressing yourself in a different way. One thing can influence the other.
Wow.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Because there are things that cats who are purists, there's some things they can learn from listening to some motherfucking Stevie Wonder.
Wow, no doubt.
You dig?
And a lot
dig?
No,
or Jay Dilla. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Let's talk about the pocket and playing a big beat.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because jazz, people have to feel good.
Yeah.
People want to dance.
Yeah.
You can still go, you know what I mean? You can still play the craziest shit,
but still make them
but
dance.
they gotta,
yeah,
their pockets gotta be there.
Yeah.
And then, and I just feel that you get more bees with honey than lemon.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
So, but for me, it's about feeling good, but I just feel like it's just music, and I feel like classical music can influence jazz. And jazz can influence the way you compose classical music. And classical music can also influence pop music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I was reading about when you were studying classical, you would improvise the classical
Yeah.
And you would bug your teachers out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember one time I was having a lesson with Dr. Jackson, and I was studying the Chopin waltz in C sharp minor, and I had reharmonized it. And this is while I'm waiting for him to come in the room, and he comes in and I'm reharmonizing. See Chopin waltz in C sharp minor. He's like, my God, what is that? My God, Raymond, what is that? And you know what it did? It had such an impact on him that we performed the piece at a piano festival in New England Conservatory.
You and Dr. Jackson?
Yes.
Get
we
out of
did
here.
a solo piano performance with two pianos. He played the main theme, but then I would improvise on the theme.
Wow.
Then he played the next theme, and then I would improvise on it. And then we played the last theme together, and I had him improvising.
Get out of it, man. Are you kidding me?
I'm not kidding you.
Wow, man.
And it was like, and I remember the review, the newspaper article, the writer reviewed the show. He was like, man, that was wild.
Did they record that?
Maybe.
Man, that's history.
I would love to hear that.
Man.
Yeah, maybe if I get famous, it'll turn up.
I was also reading that you played your first duo gig with Mulgrew Miller at the Jazz Gallery.
Yes, I have those recordings.
Was in New York?
That was in New York. That was around the first time I moved to New York. That was my first gig.
Were you nervous?
I was nervous. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Was it a learning experience?
Oh, absolutely. He kicked my ass, but it was great. It was great because he was so gracious, man. I miss Mulgrew.
So what is the Jazz Gallery, by the way?
The Jazz Gallery?
Yeah.
It's an organization, and I think Roy Hargrove is at the seat of the organ because it was his love child.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his manager at the time. He had two managers, and Dale. They started, Jazz Gallery, and it was a great space for cats who were experimenting with ideas in jazz that were based on a tradition, but it was more or less taking a tradition and flipping it upside down. So you had like cats like Marcus Strickland, Roy Hargrove, all sorts of amazing players. Eric Rivas, Orrin Evans,
Jaleel Shaw.
Jaleel Shaw,
Wow. So, going back to, you mentioned that, how did Mulgrew's passing impact you?
Man, I miss him to this day, man. I mean, I remember when I took piano lessons with him at his house, and he had an eagle on his piano.
Wow. An eagle?
An eagle. Because, you have to have an eye of the eagle when you're playing music.
Wow.
You have to have that kind of focus.
Yeah.
You know how focused an eagle is when it's focused on its prey? So, and also he also had a picture of Herbie on his piano. But yeah, Mulgrew was an amazing teacher and gracious human being.
Do you feel that God has given you favor?
That's a terrible question. I mean, I don't know how to answer that.
But you have.
You know what?
When you say a cat, I was over Mulgrew house.
I'm going to tell you something. I will say I'm blessed.
Okay, and highly favored.
I will say I'm blessed. I will say this. I feel like I have a mission to fulfill, and I feel like I'm taking the mission seriously now. And I'll put it to you like this. I remember I had some crazy experiences. I remember one time I was working with Esperanza Spalding, and I was playing with Jeff Lee Johnson and Terry Lynn Carrington and Joe Lovano, and we were opening up for Prince in LA at the Forum. Wow. And I'm standing next to Jeff Lee Johnson against the wall. Prince is standing next to Jeff Lee. Wow. And we're just chilling. And Jeff Lee is like, little motherfucker, because he felt like Prince was vibing him. But I feel like Prince was just in awe of him. Because Jeff Lee Johnson, he's amazing. Oh man. And we ended up playing together with D'Angelo. Oh man, I miss Jeff Lee. Anyway, we did the show, played with Prince. Prince invited us to his house. When I got to the house after everyone had
You
already
mean
been.
Paisley Studio?
No. This is in L.A.
Oh, that's
Prince
okay,
had a house
okay.
in L.A. I had Prince's address.
Wow, crazy.
I go to his house. I'm at the gate. They open the gate. This beautiful woman, his assistant, comes out to greet me. Hey, how's it going? Da, 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 da. I go to his house, walk in. There's a purple piano that looks like a spaceship. Grand piano. Amazing. I go to the elevator to go downstairs. I'm in the elevator. I go downstairs. I walk out of the elevator. Prince sees me. He's playing piano. He does like,
Wow.
and I'm like, yeah, you.
Wow.
Because we just played together. And so I'm like, man, is he trying to like have me battle his keyboard player? What the fuck is going on? You know, so I go over to him. He's playing 2 keyboards, right? So he sits me down. I'm playing the bottom keyboard, and he's playing the top keyboard. We're playing on top of each other.
Wow.
Me and Prince.
Man, that's
We're vibing out. He's like, I'm playing stuff. He's like, woo, this is Prince. I'm
Yeah.
like,
oh shit.
Sheila E is playing the drums. Shelby is singing. Shout out to Shelby. Congrats on the new record with Princess, #2 on the charts. Amazing, love her. And Liv Warfield and Morris Hayes, love you guys. You know, and so I'm with Prince, and Sheila E's playing drums. Mind you, they don't know who I am. You know what I mean? I'm just, you know, but Prince is like, yo.
Yeah.
So I'm playing. The Roy Hargrove's there, a room full of people. Room sort of clears out. Then Prince ends up going on the drums. And it's him, his bass player Shelby, and me on keyboards. No one's in the house at this point. We're playing like we're in Madison Square Garden, bro.
Wow.
We're like going for it. And I'm like looking at my watch. I'm like, yo, I got a flight in 2 hours. I got to go. So I'm in this house, and I had to leave, and I'm in the elevator, and I'm like, yo, how do I get out of here? And I press the elevator, nothing happens, and then all of a sudden it opens, and Prince comes in the elevator. Me and Prince are in the elevator, and I'm just looking up. I'm like, I'm not saying shit to this one.
Wow.
So then Prince is like, hey, man, how long you been playing with Esperanza? And we just started talking, and it was just the coolest moment ever.
Wow.
You know?
So let me ask you, do you feel like you have favor?
Well, here's the thing. I was last weekend, I was performing at Obama's birthday party.
Yeah.
I mean, I am blessed.
Yes.
I'm performing at his party, man. I'm sitting here taking shots with Spike Lee. We're shooting, and we're toasting to Black excellence. It's me, him, and a bunch of other successful people. Wow. And it's just, at this moment, I'm like, man, what a blessing to be in a room with Jay-Z and Beyonce and Tom Hanks, and and I'm dressed looking like a keyboard ninja. Black. I think Spike Lee called me Black Keyboard Ninja. Because I was looking like a ninja.
Wow.
And people were just so gracious and
Beautiful.
yeah.
We winding down, man. Now we got to talk about the roots.
Yeah.
Now, Questlove, we went to high school together.
Yeah.
With Boys to Men, Christian McBride, Joey DeFrancesco. I was always around great company.
Yeah.
Then I get to Howard around P. Diddy.
Yeah.
Mark Basson, Raymond Angry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Marcus Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm around all these bad cats, man. So I feel blessed to just know y'all cats and see this, man. Because I get a piece of that. I'm in there somewhere.
Philly all day, brother. Philly.
You know what I mean?
Talking about Philly right there. Yeah.
So how'd you connect with the roots?
Cause it's weird. It's weird because when I got to New York and I was on the scene, I just got a call. I guess people heard, oh, there's a new keyboardist in town, and I got a call from the Roots, the managers. I got a call from his assistant, and she was like, oh yeah, we got this, we need a keyboardist for this commercial for Universal, and it's the first time I met Questlove, and so they bring me down to Philly, and I'm in the studio. I'm at what's that famous studio? Larry Gold's. I'm at his studio in Philly where they recorded all the famous records with Jill Scott and the Roots, anyway, so I'm at Larry Gold's. I'm with Questlove in the studio, and we play. Nothing happens with the project, and then I don't hear anything back. And then I get a call from the manager again. Hey, listen, we got the session with Josh Stone. We need a keyboardist, and they had just done Josh Stone's first record, and so the Roots recommended me. The manager recommended me for the gig. And then years later, the manager.
So you were on that recording?
Yes, with Josh Stone.
Wow.
Nile Rodgers. This is my first recording in New York City out of Howard. Nile Rodgers, Betty Wright, Cindy Blackman, Jack Daly, and myself, and Angie Stone. And we're all in the studio. I'm teaching Angie Stone at piano part because she wants to play on the record. Like, it was just surreal. And she was dating a guy at the time. He was eating cornflakes in the studio. It was just hilarious. It's hilarious. And so anyway, that's how I got connected with the Roots. Fast forward, then they're getting ready to do the Tonight Show, and they invite me to a jam session. And then I go to the jam session, and they call me up on stage to play. And then me and Quest vibe. He's like, "Ooh, who the fuck is that?" And then, hey man, And James Poyser was like, "Hey man, I'm about to do this show." Because I met James Poyser when I was 15. Remember, I told you I was playing with Jesse Jackson.
Okay, wow.
So I met James Poyser years ago when I was really young, and him and Little John, and so he calls me to sub for him on the Tonight Show. So it just worked out, and then I just developed a rapport with Questlove, and then over the years I've just been doing so many projects with them, and then. Fast forward, then I started doing my own thing, and then I started producing Mondays, and then it becomes like a whole collective. So now I have like this whole community of artists that I'm working with, and I'm curating this jam session, and I'm directing everything, and bringing in classical players, bringing in jazz musicians, bringing in hip hop guys, and I'm calling people on and off stage, and it's just been a crazy experience. But that has been as a result of me working with the Roots.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
We were talking on our way here about how you might do this for this, and people may not know you can do this too.
Yeah.
And then they look at, whoa, he could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the cool thing about the Roots, because working with them, I work with so many different types of people, so many different genres. You know what I mean? And so I get a chance to, like, even with Questlove, like on side projects, like we'll do film scores together.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? And, I'll help him arrange music for, like, Prince. We did a Prince tribute at Carnegie Hall. I arranged some of the music.
Wow.
There's a famous version of Pop Life that I did that's, like, crazy.
Wow.
And D'Angelo walks in the studio while rehearsing, and he just jumps on the mics and starts singing. It was the crazy experience ever. Yeah.
So I just want to share some of the people that you collaborated with. With Jeff Beck, Wynton Marsalis, Mark Ronson, Q-Tip, Yolanda Adams, Daniel Winans, Josh Stone, Sting, Michelle DiConcello, Esperanza Spalding, Terry Lynn Carrington, Cindy Blackman, Mick Jagger, whoa, Dave Stewart, is that Estelle, Richard Smallwood, Dionne Warwick, Diane Reeves, Queen Latifah, D'Angelo, Lauryn Hill.
Yeah.
Damn. Is that Kellis?
Dion calls me Ray Monanoff.
Really?
Yeah.
Ray Monanoff?
Yeah.
That's funny. Lauryn Hill, is that Kellis or Kellis?
Khalees.
Kellis.
Yeah.
Christina Aguilera.
Aguilera, yeah.
Wow, man. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's not even all of it.
And I know you did
That's
something.
not even all of it.
Yeah,
Leslie
Dr.
Odom
Dre,
Jr.
I remember calling you, and you probably in the studio with Dr. Dre. And all.
Yeah.
Man, come on, man.
Yeah.
Man.
I was in the studio with Dr. Dre. Yeah.
Look, man, favor ain't fair. I'm telling you. Hey,
Well,
it's all good.
I tell you. Well, I hope I have favor, because now I want to create a TV series that's about culture.
Cool.
And I want it to be something that that's a global initiative, and it's all surrounded by my brand, Producer Mondays. I just have this crazy idea to,
Speaking of Producer Mondays, what is Producer Mondays?
Producer Mondays is a safe space for creatives to create without any inhibitions or judgment.
Okay. What do y'all do?
So basically, there are no cover songs. It's all improv, and basically, Producing Mondays is as it sounds. We're producing music, so I treat the jam session like it's a studio session. So which is different from most jam sessions because most jam sessions people they'll practice their favorite song, they'll go to jam session, they'll play it, or cast will come in and they'll learn the changes to a song, and then they'll just blow what they've been practicing. So what I do is I force people to create in the moment. So it's singers, it's musicians, but it's genre fluid. It's classical. We could be doing jazz. We could be doing hip hop. We could be doing Latin
That
music.
could be a TV series, a lot like a reality TV thing.
That's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's a beautiful concept.
Yeah,
I
that's
love
a beautiful thing.
I'm gonna have to get down
Hey,
there.
don't worry. It's protected. So you can't steal it. Try.
Ward Shad would say, "Don't get cute. I got the patent."
Yeah, don't get cute. But I have a crew of people that I'm working with who are
Definitely
just
get
fantastic.
some video of that stuff, man, because that's
I
capturing the magic. Of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
moment.
yeah.
That's big,
I have someone filming all the time, and I have people.
Beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that.
Shout out to Jeff, Andy, Camilla, Lex Sandler, Free, DJ Free, like my crew, man, for Producing Money they're solid, man.
Yeah, we winding down. Hey, man, I want to come down there one of Mondays and
Please
come in and do something. Okay.
Bring Gary Thomas with you.
Gary. Okay.
You know Gary
Gary
Thomas.
Thomas.
Yeah. I want to get him down there. He's.
Hey, man, yeah. Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
Yeah, because I really want to explore music in a way. Remember Burnout?
Yeah.
I want to bring that shit back. You know what I mean? But like in a different,
kind of content.
in a different way, but still like impactful. You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Yeah.
That'd be man.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. How'd you get the moniker Mr. Goldfinger?
Ooh. So I was working with this singer named Sophia Bastian, and she was at the time working. She's this young singer that I met. I wouldn't say young, but she's a singer that I met that was very curious about her ideas, and so I would help her flesh out her ideas. So she had this idea to create a theme song for the Bond franchise. And so during the time, I was working with Queen Latifah. And during this particular gig, Christian McBride was the musical director. And so this was our first time playing together. And he said to me, like, oh man, like, where have you been? You're like a secret weapon.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay. And so it's been that. I've been behind the scenes for so long, playing with this band, playing, like you said, playing jazz. Oh, you play programming beats, playing with Michelle, programming synths, doing all different things, and Sophia was doing this song, and we created this whole thing, this like orchestral, and then I was like, and then for some reason I just started to think about James Bond, and I was like, oh man, and then she started calling me Mr. Goldfinger. And then I was like, oh man, I guess I am like Mr. Goldfinger. I'm like a James Bond type of cat, because I'm, I'm behind the scenes and I'm like solving problems. So that's where it came from.
That's cool, man. What is pan global pop?
Pan global pop. It sounds like something I need to make.
I love it. Okay. Hey, let me know when you make it. I like to have some of it. You had a debut recording as a leader entitled Ray Angry. It's titled One. Ray Angry One.
It's called Ray Angry One, but the record is called One.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is your
one
first.
Of four.
Huh?
One of four.
One of four.
Yeah. I want to have.
Oh, so you got 3 more coming?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
All different vibes.
Okay. What was the concept?
So Ray Angry One was my first debut, and I wanted the record to feel like the soundtrack for a movie. So when I was working on Ray Angry One, I was watching a lot of films, and I was watching a lot of films by Spike Lee.
Gotcha.
And then I realized that the music that I love from Spike was created by his father.
Lee.
Yeah. He's an amazing.
No, his father. What's his name? Lee. It's not Lee. Is it Lee?
I think so. I can't remember. But anyway, but he's an incredible composer. So anyway, so the idea, him and also Wynton Marsalis.
Okay.
I wanted the record to feel like the gave me the feeling that I heard when I heard Black Codes.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is when I was calling you.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, man, how you write for horns? Hey, man, what's this? You know? And I was asking you so many questions, but you helped me out so much. But, yeah, I just wanted to create something that people could listen to when they're having dinner and just vibe out. And speaking of which, I got it right here.
Wow. Oh, man.
You
You got a record.
Yes, sir.
So did you decide that you wanted to make it an album?
Well, shout out to my my friends at JMI Recordings because they believed in me and they challenged me to do this record, and I don't think people really understand It
sounded like you had a vision.
I had a vision.
Yeah.
And they had a different cover. I didn't like it. I was like, man, it's got to feel like a work of art. So I hit up this photographer. She probably thought I was crazy. Her name is Jill Greenberg. And I was like, man, you don't know me, but I really love your work, and I want to work with you. She agreed to work with me. She did this, and I was like, yo. First of all, we did a photo shoot. All the photos were incredible. And I was like, man, this has to be the album cover.
Wow.
And some people, when you look at it, people are like, yo, this fuck is this? But what this really shows is, I'm not going to tell you how she did it, but see all the different colors and different layers? That just exemplifies who I am, because I love all styles of music. I don't just like one thing.
Yeah.
So everything is ever flowing. Everything is fluid. I think music is fluid. So this album represents me in a lot of ways. And then this beautiful photo here.
Wow. Yeah.
I love wearing hats, and I got my Gucci shirt on. But then more importantly, this fucking band. Derek Hodge, Ambrose, Myron Walden, Eric Harlan. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful, man.
Like, it was just a beautiful experience. I just wanted to create something.
And that top hat reminds me of Mr. Goldfinger. It just reminds you of Mr. Goldfinger.
I'm orchestrating, and I even got Rangry One in Japanese.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Because earlier you was talking about that you wanted to be a visual artist. Mm-hmm. And are you still intrigued by visual art?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man.
I'm inspired by art so much. Even I will find myself going to museums and studying art and just really finding inspiration. A dream of mine has been to perform at museums around the world.
Come on.
But I love, Jason Moran. He's like really deep into the art world, and I just,
I would have been an artist. I would have been an artist had I got into music.
Yeah. I don't know. He's really deep into it, but I would love to connect with visual artists and.
Yeah, I just want to let you know I still have my turntable.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. 'Cause you got something to play now.
Oh man, thank you, my brother. I appreciate it.
You did? No, man. Hey, listen, this is my gift to you, man, because
hey, man, thank you.
I've known you for so many years, and you've definitely helped me to push myself and not be complacent.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate you.
And I always admired you for that. You know what I mean? And this album, I remember calling you like, yo, Tone, what you think about this? Sending you my tunes. Yo, man, what you think about this tune?
I'm honored, man.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
No, you helped me, man. You know what I'm saying? And so it's
and as you, same thing, man. We all learn from each other. Man.
Yeah.
I see you cats. I'd say, okay, you got to raise my game up a little bit.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that, man.
Yeah, dog. Come on, man.
We got a few more questions.
Okay.
Okay. The music industry has changed drastically since we were at Howard. How do you people make money? Back in the day, you could write a song. You know, the lady at work wrote "Man in the Mirror." She was eating off that song. You know, how do you make money in the music industry nowadays?
Performing and licensing music.
Licensing music.
Yes. Licensing music. And you also make money by being as diverse as possible.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And also, you know,
Is there still money to be made in the
yeah,
music
of course, of course, of course. Streaming services. But I think we have to find creative ways to change the music industry. And I think it can only happen by the hands that create the music.
Come on.
So I feel like the music industry is run by people that don't make music, but they are the business.
Yeah.
That's the machine. That's the thing that we're like, you know, everyone's chasing the machine. I want to be like this artist, so everyone's chasing the little. I'm gonna be a little peanut, little gumbo, you know, little drastic, you know. And so you have all these things, everyone's chasing the machine. So I just feel like we need to step out of the machine, rub elbows together, lock in, create a product, create content, release it, have it be for movies, have it be for film, have it, you know, however you're going to exploit it, but it has to be a group effort. And it has to be intentional. And I think if artists band together and you know, really like put an effort into making art and making things that inspire people, I think the industry could change. You know, I mean, there's some. I mean, the music industry is such a deep thing. You know, but I'm very hopeful that we can find creative ways to make money in music. And I think with NFTs, you know, that's an incredible way to make money because now NFTs.
What's that?
I don't know what it stands for, but it's this new thing where you can have a piece of music, but you can also have a visual component that goes along with it that you sell. So this becomes a one-of-a-kind item. So that's, you know what I mean? That's what an NFT is. So this one-of-a-kind item can be, people can bid for it.
Wow.
So then it becomes like, oh, now it's a bidding war for something that no one else has in the world. So everyone wants to be exclusive.
Wow.
So I think finding creative ways with streaming, you know, artists creating their own streaming platforms, you know, I have ideas about that. But I think locking in with a corporation that understands the need for creatives to be treated fairly that's who I'm interested in working with. That's who I'm looking for. Is that corporation that understands creatives? Because listen, I could sit here and I could make 20 songs in the next hour. You know what I'm saying? All styles of music. I'm pretty sure there's so many other people that can do that too. And that music can be used for anything. You can't go anywhere in the world without being affected by music. When someone dies, there's music. When someone giving birth, there's music. Music is such a valuable commodity that we take for granted. You know, and I think if creatives are intentional in their business, then we can change the music business.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So,
all right, I got some final questions. I got to meet your dad once. I think when we were living on Sherman and Harvard.
Oh, yeah.
I think he came over. And, I never met your mom, but you lost both of your parents?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How did that impact you?
Man, I was definitely depressed. You know, you know, and the crazy thing is, I was going through that, and I didn't really realize how much it had an effect on me because at the same time, I kept working.
Gotcha.
I kept working, kept doing shows, and I never took a moment to really mourn and really look at myself and see what am I doing. But COVID did that. You know, COVID allowed me the ability, you know, I started working out. I mean, I was working out before, but it really gave me the incentive to like, yo, you know, I really want to work out. I really want to start my business. So it got me thinking more more seriously about developing my business. Like I started a record label. I started, I'm branding Producer Mondays. I'm branding myself. I'm releasing my own music. I'm going to the studio, creating my own records, and then figuring out ways to exploit those records, which is, how do you make money in the music industry?
So did your parents get to see your success? Did they get to see it?
I
Or at
mean,
least some of it?
they got to see some of it because, they saw me perform on the Grammys with Joss Stone and Melissa Etheridge. They got to see me do a couple of things. And my dad actually got to, before he passed away, he came to Paris. I was working in Paris at the time with this artist named Ayo. And he always wanted to go to Paris. The doctor gave him permission to go. He flew to Paris. He had cancer, was doing chemotherapy and everything, and the doctor gave him permission to go. He came, and we hung out, and he ended up performing with me on stage. But the artist brought him up on stage, and we
He
did
sang?
it. Yes, sir.
Wow.
He
Beautiful.
tore the house down.
Really?
My dad was a great singer.
Wow.
But he was an educator.
Gotcha.
And he was Dr. Raymond Angry before he passed away. And so was my mother. They were both educators.
Wow.
And it was incredible.
How's your relationship with your brothers? How do they get to experience this road with you?
Oh man, my brothers, we have fun, man.
Y'all close?
Yeah. My two brothers, my two younger brothers, spent my birthday with me this year. I did a show opening up for Dave Chappelle with The Roots. So my brother's a comedian. So he got to meet Dave Chappelle, and my brothers often get to meet some of the artists I'm working with.
That's beautiful, man. This is gonna be an interesting question. You got any kids out there anywhere?
No, I don't.
I'm messing with
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I hope I'm not on Dr. Phil one day. Hey man, kid say he's your son.
No, not Dr. Phil. Who's the other one?
Jerry Springer.
No, the guy that was saying the test results say that you are.
You are the father.
Yeah.
Maury Pope.
Yeah.
No, I don't have any kids. No.
So, what's next? You mentioned some things that you're working on. So, what's your next what's your next thing? Is it Ray 2?
The next thing is Ray 2. Yeah,
Okay.
Ray Angry 2. The next thing is I have a project called Public Domain that I'm really excited about. My writing partner, Catherine McMahon, is, we partnered together on this project, and the New York Times did an article about the first release, and it was, it's an awesome record that I did with Liv Warfield, Daru Jones, Jay Horde, and a host of other incredible musicians, Matt Gumley, and so I have some new music that I'm releasing for that project. Producer Mondays, I recorded, I partnered with a studio in Queens called Pinch Recording Studios, and they allowed me to record in their studio for 6 days. And within those 6 days, I recorded 27 songs.
Wow.
All different styles of music, different types of artists. So I'm going to be releasing that music soon. And also, I have a vision for taking Producer Mondays around the world and being a TV series. And I want to just use music as a tool to bring the world together and for people to embrace change. But the thing that I'm really excited about is to take it to different cultures around the world and collaborate with those, people in different cultures.
Yes.
And, in Japan, having traditional Japanese instruments and improvising with those artists and creating this sort of global discussion about music and creativity, and to show how we all have a lot in common, and I just want to do that, and that's what Producer Mondays is, it's about inclusion.
Man, last question. How can people contact you or learn more about you? You can look in the camera.
You can You can find me on Instagram or Facebook at Ray Angry. On Facebook, I have at Ray Angry Music. You can also find me on Instagram at Producer Mondays. You can go to www.rayangry.com for my website. You can also go to www.rayangry.com/Producer Mondays. And yeah.
Beautiful.
And also you can find me on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. Just type in Ray Angry. I'm everywhere.
My brother.
Yes, sir.
Man, this has been an honor. Look, man, I've learned, man, it's funny because I saw you just, it's a couple cats I saw come in Howard, man, and they just took off, man.
Wow.
And you're one of those guys, man.
Amen.
And I'm really proud and very honored to be a part of your journey. You know what I'm saying? And I'm very honored that you would, come on here, man.
Come on, man.
And chop it up with a brother.
Come on, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. Home slice.
Yes, sir, man.
Hey.
Man, thank you, man, for sharing, man.
Black
And,
excellence, brother.
All the best to you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And we're going to do something. We're
Come
going
on,
to do
man.
something. We're going to do something.
Come on. Come to Producer Mondays. Let's do
Yeah,
something.
yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Come on up. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir.
Yeah, and I want to bring Producer Mondays to DC. So we're gonna do
Yes,
something.
woo,
But
yeah.
for me, it's about connecting the dots.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt.
Some people make it and they feel like,
yeah.
I only work with stars. It's like, nah, man, I work with
Come on
everybody.
with the little guy.
You know what I'm saying? We
Get
all
a little
little
man
guys.
some love.
we all little, but everybody has something to say,
No
and
doubt.
I really want to be. My goal is to be the Quincy Jones of this day.
Gotcha. Well, man, you
know what I mean?
have the. That's
my
like I say,
goal.
man, you got you don't want to do it.
I
You know what
just
So-
need to hit records. I got them.
That's right.
I just
That's
need
right.
the machine.
It's out there somewhere.
I got the records. I just need the machine behind it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, this is a conversation in jazz. You've been listening to Mr. Goldfinger, aka Ray Angry, my brother from Howard University, Phi Mu Alpha Music Fraternity.
All hail.
All hail, Phi Mu A.
WA.
And it's been a wonderful show, and we'll see you on the next one.
Raymond Angie, Raymond Angie, Raymond.